What if I told you Disney almost built a park where you never had to leave? Imagine staying in a room inside the park, with views like this. This wasn't fantasy, it was called WestCOT. In the 90s, Disney almost made that a reality, yet it ultimately was cancelled and forgotten. So let us journey to the past and discover the history of WestCOT. Our journey begins in 1987. The Disneyland Hotel, which was built in 1955 by Jack Rader as a favor to his friend Walt Disney, who at the time couldn't afford to build the hotel himself, was bought by Disney, as Disney took control of the hotel by purchasing the Rader Corporation outright. However, that went beyond a simple hotel in Anaheim. This purchase also came with the Queen Mary. Now, the Queen Mary is a gigantic transatlantic ocean liner. So what if Disney could transform this port into a resort? A Port Disney. Located at a premier plot of land in the port of Long Beach, Port Disney would have taken advantage of the Queen Mary, creating a park based on the myths, romance, challenges and mysteries of the ocean, the world's last great frontier. This new area, named Port Disney, would basically be a whole new resort with hotels like the Marina Hotel, Tidelands Hotel, Shoreline Hotel, and shopping and dining. This would be located on the marina side, separated from the park by a bridge. On the other shore would sit the Canal Hotel and the Port Hotel, and of course the main theme park, called Disney Sea. The goal of the main park wasn't just to entertain, but to also teach about this brave concept. Guests could learn about the seas with interactive exhibits and theming, a concept we saw with the Living Seas at EPCOT. At the center of it all would have been the focal point of the park, Oceana, that would contain a state-of-the-art two-story aquarium. All the themed lands of this park would surround Oceana. Another icon of the park would have been Mysterious Island, with Volcania, from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Myths and legends of the seas would find home in Heroes Harbor. Other areas would include Fleets of Fantasy, Boardwalk, and Rainbow Pier, and the Adventure Reef area. Port Disney was a project that took advantage of being near the water. It featured themed experiences relating to the stories and myths of the seas. However, Port Disney was never meant to be. The project was located in Long Beach, not Anaheim near Disneyland. During rush hour traffic, it could take more than an hour to arrive at this park. So Disney dropped plans in favor of WestCOT. In March 1991, Disney would unveil the master plan for its massive expansion, WestCOT. This master plan went far beyond a simple new park, as it was also a transformation of Disneyland into a full resort. So the impact of WestCOT can still be felt to this day. The various plots of land would be roughly divided in three parts that were well integrated with one another. On one side would be a hotel district. Utilizing the space of the Disneyland Hotel, this area would see the addition of other hotels, either featuring Victorian architecture or Mission Revival, highlighting California's rich history. The placemaking here is phenomenal. Take for instance the new Disneyland Resort Hotel. The themes and names of said hotels were still to be determined, but the design features this impressive, sweeping arc reminiscent of two hugging arms. The buildings are positioned to frame pathways and plazas, creating fantastic spaces. Other hotels were, for instance, inspired by Mission Revival architecture. This architectural choice creates a harmonious connection to the broader theme of Disneyland, celebrating the history of California. Also, take note of the various water features present, something that is currently lacking within the various Disneyland hotels. The other section of this massive expansion plan would have been the theme park area. Located in the center of the resort, this section contained the classic Disneyland Park and would also contain WestCOT. Beyond that, it's important to highlight the Disneyland Center. Situated around a marvelous 6-acre lake, this would serve as the resort's shopping and dining venue, and celebrating California's rich history. This area would take inspiration from Hotel del Coronado and Catalina Castillo, along with various other boardwalks like Venice Beach. The buildings would be positioned to take advantage of the prime waterfront views, creating an outstanding place to sit down relax and enjoy the view. To travel between the three districts, guests could take a monorail to the resorts, or a people mover to the third and final district, parking. But beyond that, with the beautiful landscaping of the hotels, perhaps walking might have been just as pleasant as taking a monorail ride. Additionally, there would have been a Disneyland Bowl. The highlight of this massive Disneyland expansion would have been WestCOT Center. This park would be inspired by EPCOT at Walt Disney World, but there were some major differences. Now, it's important to note that the design of this park changed after being officially revealed in 1991. There are two main versions and one transitory. Notice the missing 300-foot tall geodesic sphere to differentiate between the versions. Either way, WestCOT was poised to change the theme park industry forever. Imagine this: what if you could stay inside Disneyland to not only visit the resort for a day, but also sleep inside the actual theme park? Well, this was the idea behind WestCOT, building hotels themed to different corners of the world inside the park, and that communicated with the various lands. Because of the size restrictions, instead of individual countries like at EPCOT, WestCOT had regions. Lands would be themed to Americas, Europe, Asia and Africa, with the Middle East. To block the view from the outside world, Disney planned to build 6-story buildings in the back that would serve as hotels, and then on top of the hotels would sit set pieces like St. Basil's Cathedral from Russia. The layout of WestCOT features symmetry, something missing from Disney's California Adventure. This layout allows for easy guest flow. The countries, therefore, would surround this lagoon with Space Station Earth, a giant 300-foot tall geodesic sphere in the center. This was later changed since it would be visible from Main Street, as so in the post-Space Station Earth version, we would have this massive theme park icon that would house Future World within one massive building. Guests would walk under the cascading waterfalls into the lobby, and there would have been gangways leading to the stages, or what we call in EPCOT pavilions, inside. Wonders of Nature would have had everything from a frozen environment, which would have been actually cold and refrigerated, allowing for people to play with ice and snow, to an arid desert and a humid jungle area. Living combines wonders of life and journey into imagination from EPCOT. It's almost like a mall with activities on two different levels. All of Future World would have been indoors, so it would be very theatrical. As so, Imagineers referred to it as a stage set, and since it was indoors, it allowed for the space to be a bit more dreamlike and futuristic than if you were dealing with stucco that gets chipped a lot and starts staining and looking old. Depending on which version we're talking about, there would have been a third pavilion, either Space or Wonders of Science. The entrance to the Americas Pavilion in WestCOT also served as the main entrance to the park. It was designed to be a grand and immersive experience, drawing inspiration from historical and cultural touchpoints. The entrance was inspired by the Centennial Exposition held in Philadelphia, a World's Fair celebrating America's 100th anniversary. South America would feature cultural highlights focusing mainly on Mexico and Central America, with Aztec and Mayan influences. Canada would also have its own section on the opposite side, showcasing unique offerings like a Native American show inspired by Bob Rogers Productions' Spirit Lodge. There would also have been a version of the American Adventure from EPCOT in the middle. After experiencing the Americas, guests would move into Europe and Asia, and eventually reaching Future World, Africa and the Middle East. Perhaps the most ambitious ride was the Road Cruise, a 45-minute long attraction with 5 stops. This was an ambitious journey through the history and cultures of the world. The ride combined outdoor scenic vistas with indoor 9-minute show scenes akin to Spaceship Earth. WestCOT was supposed to be a futuristic, dreamlike experience that would set the Disneyland Resort apart from any place else in the world. However, it was not meant to be. A number of factors played into its demise. First was the reaction from local Anaheim neighbors. Opposition rose, with fears that many businesses around the resort would be negatively impacted. Beyond that, as with any major project in the United States, many had concerns about the amount of traffic Disney Park would bring. Secondly, the cost of this project was simply massive. WestCOT would have been a huge expansion of Disneyland, and after the failure of Euro Disneyland, the prospects of expanding Disneyland this way became a financial liability, and so the park was cancelled. Plans for a second gate, however, didn't die with WestCOT in 1995. Imagineers were still discussing what a new park could look like. During a charrette is a collaborative design and brainstorming session where architects, designers, etc. come together to rapidly generate ideas and concepts for a certain project. The term was originally used to describe actual carts that would carry architecture students' work to their professors. During said charrette, an idea was born: Disney's California Adventure. In 1996, Disney would announce new plans for the Disneyland Resort, an ambitious plan that would forever transform the one park into a resort. The original plans featured elements from Disney's cancelled Disney America project. The layout of the park would be quite peculiar. The park did not form a perfect loop. Instead, the park was larger on the west side. The east side would result in a dead end with a Hollywood-themed area. The west side would integrate two lands, the Golden California section and Surfing Beach, a boardwalk-style area. These lands would form a lake with an island in the middle for Golden California. Next to that would have been a flying theater-type ride, and a hotel, the Grand California, would also be integrated into the park, just like what we saw with WestCOT, however on a much smaller level. The entrance to the park would originally have featured some Mission Revival designs. At the end of this street would have been a spire, similar to what we saw with WestCOT. For this 1996 plan, the Disneyland Center would have been more ambitious, as it would lead into the Magic Kingdom Hotel. Some elements for this are now being brought back with Downtown Disney District's renovation. Over the years, plans for DCA would evolve. The Mission Revival style entrance was substituted with a postcard-like Golden Gate Bridge entrance with a sun at the end. Budget cuts severely hurt what could have been a decent park at opening, but cost-cutting hurt the appeal of the park. Instead of being a romanticized vision of California, it ended up being a complete disaster. Disney's California Adventure would open in 2001. The original layout of the park was quite peculiar. Guests entered via the Sunshine Plaza, leading to a large hub that was more like a fork. Here you choose between three lands: Hollywood Pictures backlot, Golden State, which was a massive land comprised of other smaller neighborhoods that combined eclectic elements of California culture like wine, Yosemite, aviation history with Condor Flats, and a section inspired by coastal towns like Monterrey, called the Pacific Wharf. A large avenue-like path takes you further to Paradise Pier, but other areas like the Hollywood section were a dead end. Over the years, this layout would change. With the addition of Cars Land and Avenger Campus, the layout now features more symmetry. The large Parade Avenue now divides the park in two, with two smaller loops on each side. As you see, the original 2001 park was a complete failure. Take for instance the original Paradise Pier section of Disney's California Adventure. In 2001, it serves as a prime example of the park's reliance on superficial theming, generic architecture, and visual puns that many guests either missed or didn't connect with. Take for instance Pizza Oh Mau Mau. This surf-themed pizza restaurant took its name from a 1960s song, Papa Oh Mau Mau. While intended to be a clever pun, the joke was esoteric and meaningless to many guests, especially children and international visitors unfamiliar with the reference. Disney's California Adventure also featured many ducks. You see, according to postmodern architect Robert Venturi and Denise Scott Brown, a duck refers to a building where the structure itself is a symbol or representation of its function. as opposed to a decorated shed where the function is usually indicated by a sign. The Burger Invasion was a McDonald's disguised as a Burger UFO Invasion. Another duck was the Orange Stinger, a giant flat ride with a faux orange facade. Other rides relied on references most guests would have never understood, like Mulholland Madness, a Wild Mouse coaster referencing Los Angeles traffic and highways. But the connection was more of a cheap joke than a thoughtful exploration of California's culture or history. However, it wasn't all a disaster. The Golden State area of the park was a pleasant representation of California in a romantic fashion, something you expect from Disney. The Grizzly Peak area, which is still around, pays homage to California's diverse landscapes, featuring a tall, grizzly-shaped mountain. Other smaller sections like the Condor Flats area, while an interesting area that paid homage to aviation heroes of California, it was recently renovated to be part of Grizzly Peak National Park. The Golden Winery area is a pleasant space to enjoy the views, and Pacific Wharf was another well-done area. However, it was recently rethemed to San Francisco based on Big Hero 6. Beyond that lied Bountiful Valley Farm, an area that did feature interactive educational experiences about farming. This didn't last long. So why did Disney's California Adventure fail? The reliance on visual puns and surface-level references in Paradise Pier and other sections alienated many guests for several reasons. The obscure jokes lacked broad appeal or clarity. The area's design lacked the layered detail and storytelling found in Disneyland's lands, leading to the architecture feeling cheap and uninspired. Guests didn't feel transported to a magical realm, instead they were presented with a mediocre reflection of the real world outside the gates. But most importantly, Disney's California Adventure failed on delivering that nostalgia, emotional feeling that Disneyland did when it opened in 1955. Over the next years, Disney would reinvest into Disney's California Adventure, trying to make the park more like Disneyland. We would see the addition of the Tower of Terror that would later be replaced with Guardians and a Bugs Land. In 2007, Disney announced a massive expansion and renovation of DCA. In 2012, we would see Buena Vista Street. The area takes guests to a 1920s version of Los Angeles, featuring nostalgic elements like the red car trolley. Also, the architecture of Buena Vista Street is unique, with the exception of the Carface Circle and the Hyperion Bridge. All the buildings were designed by Disney architects, taking inspiration from Art Deco and Mission Revival architecture. Beyond that, DCA kept expanding, and in Cars Land, turning Paradise Pier into Pixar Pier and replacing a Bugs Land with Avengers Campus, which would unfortunately see the demise of Heimlich's Choo Choo Train. DCA is set to enter a new age with massive expansions coming soon. Unfortunately, it will also mean the closure of the red car trolley. So what does the future hold for Disney's California Adventure? A park that was once supposed to be a vision of the future. Our journey through the history of WestCOT, the grand ambitious second gate that Disneyland almost had, serves as a powerful reminder of what could have been. WestCOT was supposed to change Disneyland forever, yet it never happened. However, the spirit of WestCOT lives on. The very idea of transforming Disneyland into a full-fledged resort was realized with the opening of Disney's California Adventure. In the end, WestCOT remains one of Disney's greatest what-if stories, a tantalizing glimpse into a world that never materialized. It's a testament to the boundless imagination of Disney's creatives and a reminder that even unrealized dreams can inspire future successes.